They told you to calm down. But how does one calm a storm that was born angry? While others count sheep to fall asleep, you're counting strategies. 10 steps ahead, mapping moves like a general at war. A mind like yours doesn't rest, it hunts. It doesn't simply think, it burns. Even silence speaks to you, carrying hidden codes like whispers from the void. And the void, it always speaks back. They tried to dismiss it as overthinking, but they misunderstood. Overthinking isn't weakness, it's observation, it's precision. It's the sharpened edge of a predator's gaze. You see the flicker in their eyes before they speak, the hesitation in their voice before they lie. You don't guess, you know. Your mind plays chess on a board invisible to them, and you never play by their rules. They cling to normalcy, worship it like a fragile idol. But normal is a cage built to contain minds like yours. Your thoughts are wild currents of electricity, erratic, raw, untamed. History has a way of mocking brilliance until it bends reality. Einstein was called a lunatic, Tesla a madman. And yet their echoes surround you. Ghosts like them lean in when you speak. Because you've cracked something they couldn't, you've cracked yourself. You're not ahead of time, you exist outside of it. Time bends to those who refuse to accept its limits. Your mind doesn't merely compute, it transcends. Every what if you ever whispered sent out a spike in frequency. Every strange idea was a signal, proof that you're not bound by the same definitions they call human. You're a broadcast from a future they fear, so when they brand you as crazy, you grin. Let them drown in their routines while you rewire reality. You weren't made to blend in. You were made to disrupt, decode, and detonate illusions. You are the glitch in their system, the static in their clean signal, the reason their dreams feel haunted. It all begins with the noise, not from the outside, but from within. The constant hum of thoughts that refuse to die down. Ideas crash into each other like restless waves at midnight. While the world sleeps in peace, your mind rages with wars of creation, building, scheming, asking questions without answers. They called you too much, too intense, too deep. But they never saw the nights you tore through your own thoughts, stitching together truths no one else dared to touch. You didn't collapse under the weight of that pressure. You became the pressure. Your sanity is bound together with razor wire and obsession, and you wear it as a crown. They fed you pills, diagnoses, and labels disguised as cages, demanding you tone it down and be normal. But you didn't numb out. You evolved. You let chaos grow teeth and whisper its secrets into your ears. You didn't escape madness, you bent it to your will. Now it kneels before you and speaks in your own voice. When the world tries to silence you, you see patterns they can't. Codes buried inside emotions. Weakness stitched beneath their smiles. They call it paranoia, but you know it's preparation. They'll never understand the weight of carrying sight so sharp, of knowing too much and pretending you don't. That isn't madness, that's survival. So don't fear the edge, dance upon it. Let the storm tear through you because you were never destined for calm seas. You were carved by lightning, baptized in noise, and crowned by distortion. Genius isn't balance, it's chaos arranged beautifully. And when the world turns away, you look directly into the heart of the storm and smile. You've always been the one they couldn't place, sitting in their classrooms with a mind buzzing like a live wire while they taught lifeless facts with lifeless eyes. You weren't distracted. You were simply bored. You weren't an underachiever. You were under-challenged. They wanted memorization while you craved meaning. But meaning terrifies machines because it can't be programmed or contained. They told you to sit still while your thoughts scream for motion. They demanded you color inside lines that never made sense. Swallow a system built for obedience instead of brilliance. You were never made for multiple choice questions. You were made to turn chaos into clarity. They couldn't recognize your frequency, so they branded it failure. The 9-to-5 jobs, the meaningless degrees, the fake smiles behind lifeless desks. It was a graveyard of walking corpses addicted to routine. You watched them clock in day after day, slowly dying without ever realizing it. But not you. Your rebellion wasn't loud. It was precise, it was logical. You saw the trap before it closed, and you cut your own path straight through the gears, even when it cost you everything. They labeled you too intense, too rebellious, but what they really felt was fear. Your very presence disrupted their order. You weren't another cog in their machine. You were the surge of electricity that made it malfunction, and you wore that truth with a grin. So stand proud in your exile. That title of outcast isn't shame. It's a scar from a world too small to hold a mind as expansive as yours. Systems are designed to trap patterns, to lock chaos into predictability. But you are chaos incarnate, unwritten, unchained, unstoppable. You were never pushed out of their world, you escaped it. And once you walked away, it could never touch you again. You didn't rebuild yourself in comfort or calm. You built yourself in wreckage, in betrayal so sharp it carved blueprints into your bones. While others prayed for peace, you broke. While they waited for light, you set yourself ablaze. It wasn't love that rebuilt you. It was rage. Pure, volcanic, untamed rage. They told you to tame it, to heal, to let it go. But rage was the only thing that kept you alive. It kept your fists clenched when the world tried to gut you, kept your spine straight when life spat in your face. You didn't move on. You moved through, one scar at a time. And the demon they warned you about. It never came to destroy you. It came to forge you. It whispered truths no one else had the courage to speak. It showed you that strength doesn't live in calm. It's born in confrontation. In standing before the mirror and refusing to look away from what you've become. They despised your edge because it reminded them of their weakness, but you never needed their approval. That darkness within you, the part that survived what should have killed you, is not shame. It is proof. It is the architect of your resilience. The demon didn't ruin you. It rebuilt you. Stronger, sharper, untouchable. So stop apologizing for it. Let it speak. Let it lead. You don't owe the world a softer, more diluted version of yourself. You owe yourself justice. Not the petty kind of revenge, but the kind where your very existence becomes the monument to everything they tried and failed to destroy. Peace is overrated. Power isn't given. It's earned in war. They used to laugh at you, smirk behind your back, whisper like cowards always do when they don't understand something dangerous. But you never flinched, you observed. Every insult became a puzzle piece, every sneer a data point. You didn't waste energy getting angry, you got educated. And now the laughter has stopped. Instead of mocking, they look over their shoulders, uneasy in your presence. You played their game for a while, smiling when it hurt, nodding when it sickened you, trying to mold yourself into something they would accept. But under all that pressure, something cracked, not out of weakness but out of force. And when it finally broke, you woke up. That was the day you stopped asking for respect. You didn't beg. You took it silently, without apology. The chains fell the moment you stopped caring about their shallow opinions. You realized their judgments were born from fear, filtered through mediocrity. Why beg sheep for applause when you were born a wolf? Let them hate, let them gossip, let them choke on their own comfort. You don't need permission to be real. They told you that you lost your mind, but in truth, you liberated it. Sanity is just the leash society ties around those who dream too loud, and you cut it off. You turned the asylum into your throne room. That grin you wear now? It's not happiness. It's a warning. You're no longer trying to be understood. You're making it impossible to ignore you. You're not their friend. You're their mirror. And they hate what they see staring back. Keep smiling, Joker, because now they finally know. The punchline is you, and you're the one laughing last. While they binge shows, you binge blueprints. While they drown in distractions, you dissect data. Books aren't entertainment to you, they're arsenals. Every paragraph is a bullet. Every concept is a blade. You don't scroll mindlessly, you strategize. While their minds rust, yours reloads daily. You speak to yourself like a general preparing for battle. No weakness, no pity, only command. You've trained your mind to obey even when your body screams to quit. You don't rely on motivation because you've built momentum. Your self-talk isn't soft, it's sharp, precise, unyielding, cold but correct, focused, not fragile. Discipline has become ritual, and ritual has become your edge. You rise before the world makes noise, not to chase peace, but to prepare for war. Silence isn't comfort, it's calibration. It's where you sharpen instincts, review maps, adjust strategies, and plan 10 moves ahead while everyone else is still hitting snooze. You don't chase dopamine, you ration it, discipline it, weaponize it. You study human behavior the way a hunter studies prey, patterns, triggers, weaknesses. You don't walk into a room hoping to fit in. You infiltrate it. You own it in your mind long before your body enters. You've rehearsed every possibility, every outcome, so when it's real, you're already in control. Your brain isn't just a brain, it's a bunker, hardened, wired, armed. This isn't luck, this isn't talent, this is tuning. Hour by hour, page by page, thought by relentless thought. You engineered yourself into something unshakable. Let them keep watching their fantasies. You'll keep becoming the nightmare they can't admit exists. They thought pain would destroy you, that betrayal would break you, that rejection would reduce you into something smaller, something safe. But pain didn't break you, it woke you. Every lie, every betrayal, every door slammed in your face became fuel, jet fuel, and you lit the fire yourself. While they cried for closure, you built weapons. While they drowned in why, you mastered how. Pain didn't soften you, it sharpened you. You turned heartbreak into discipline, silence into strategy, and agony into altitude. That's what they'll never understand. You stopped asking why it happened. You started asking what it created. And pain, in its cruelty, carved away the weak and left only the machine. This is the version of you that doesn't flinch. The version that doesn't pause to explain, doesn't wait for applause, doesn't need permission. Just execution. Pure, precise, unapologetic execution. Every move is clean, every strike is final. You've become unforgiving not because you lack heart, but because you've already burned through every ounce of feeling. Numbness isn't failure, it's focus. You've felt so much, endured so deeply, that your pain receptors have been scorched into silence. Now you move without hesitation. Every scar on your body, especially the one etched across your chest, is a trigger, a click, a reminder. You don't crave comfort, you crave targets, and the more it hurt, the sharper your vision became. They can't endure what you've endured. That's why they fear your calm. Because behind your quiet eyes is a storm with a name they've long forgotten. But you never did. Pain didn't shatter you, it branded you. It signed you in blood, marked you as someone different, someone inevitable. Now every step you take is a countdown. Tick, tick, boom. You don't shout about your plans, you plant them. Quiet, precise, patient. No hype, no noise. Real power never moves with spectacle. It moves with whispers. While they brag, you build. While they perform, you position. While they waste time showing the world what they're doing, you prepare to dismantle it without a single warning. Your silence isn't absence, it's ambush. You're not quiet because you're timid. You're quiet because you're strategic. You know the value of stillness before the strike. Your presence bends the air before you even open your mouth. People feel you without needing to hear you. You don't flex your genius. You let the aftermath announce it for you. The loud ones always need attention. You already own the room without lifting a finger. You operate like a sniper, always on high ground, never wasting motion. Every decision is calculated. Wind, distance, pressure, trajectory, but in human form. And when you strike, it's once, fatally, leaving nothing left to recover. No warning, no broadcast. Just an aftershock rippling through reality, leaving them wondering how it happened and when you got into the room. Let them underestimate you, that's the setup. Let them talk. Let them sneer. Let them dismiss you, because while their mouths run, your trap is already set. You're not a ghost because you disappear. You're a ghost because you're untouchable. By the time they hear your name, their game has already ended. They'll never even know which moment sealed their fate, only that you were already there, already moving. Visibility is for the desperate. You don't need to be seen to be felt. You don't need credit to wear the crown. Real power doesn't perform for applause. It positions itself so perfectly that resistance is useless. So you remain quiet, you remain cold, you remain loaded. The world will recognize you only after it bows. You weren't reborn. You were burned, scorched to the bone, stripped of every illusion. Every lie you told yourself was reduced to ash. Every excuse you clung to was vaporized. You didn't have a glow-up, you didn't reinvent, you executed. The old you didn't evolve, you killed them, and you buried their remains in a grave so deep no one could ever dig them up again. What had to die? The voice that whispered, maybe tomorrow. The habits that numbed you instead of sharpening you. The labels they stuck to your skin. Broken, lazy, too much, not enough. The addiction to validation. The obsession with fitting in. You burned it all, you executed it without mercy. Because mercy was the foundation of your weakness. And weakness has no place in the architecture of who you've become. Now it's war, not a metaphor, not a slogan, not some poetic line to sound dramatic. No, war in its rawest form. The kind that demands everything soft and you be burned until there's nothing left but steel. War against the illusions that kept you chained, against the versions of yourself that once begged for permission, feared being alone, settled for scraps, and made treaties with pain as if survival meant compromise. That wasn't you. That was the cage. And the sickest part? You were carrying the key the whole time, trembling at the thought of using it. But then came the breaking point. The moment you stopped negotiating, stopped asking, stopped pretending. You finally turned the key. And now look at you, standing in the wreckage, surrounded by the ashes of your former self. You breathe smoke like oxygen, lungs filled with fire instead of air. You didn't rise polished or pure. You rose scarred, charred, forged. You rose molten, a weaponized version of yourself stitched together only with what works, what cuts, what endures. You didn't become something better to please the world. You became something necessary to survive it, to conquer it, to leave your mark carved into its skin. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be unforgettable. So the next time they whisper, "What happened to the old you?" don't explain, don't justify, just smile. Meet their gaze without blinking and let your silence turn heavy. Then lean in and whisper, "I buried them." Watch the fear flicker in their eyes, then turn away, smoldering, silent, leaving them choking on questions they'll never answer. You weren't reborn in light, you were resurrected in fire. And in that fire you learned precision. You don't guess anymore, you calculate. While others are still caught in the present, distracted by the noise of now, you're already living in the next 3 steps. Every twitch in their muscles, every hesitation in their voice, every slip in their lies, you log it, analyze it, file it, and use it. You don't just move quickly, you move first. By the time they blink, the outcome has already been decided. They don't even realize the game was over before they entered the room. Your mind isn't wired for chaos. It harnesses chaos. Where they see noise, you see blueprints. Where they see randomness, you see patterns. Where they see comfort, you see traps. You've studied enough lies to predict truth before it's spoken. You don't react, you prepare. You don't stumble, you set snares. And when they think they're cornering you, they're already standing in the net you wove months, maybe years before. Emotion doesn't cloud you anymore. It fuels you. It sharpens you. You don't suppress anger, you refine it. You don't hide fear, you harness it. You don't deny pain, you weaponize it. Where they panic, you pause. Where they collapse, you cut through. Your calm isn't peace, it's precision. A silence so focused it could slice through time itself. That stare they mistake for emptiness isn't a void, it's a scalpel. It's the sharpness of a mind that sees too much, too far, too clearly for them to understand. You don't play their games, you design them. You don't follow their rules, you write them. While they're still setting up dominoes, you've already watched them fall. They'll call it luck. They'll call it coincidence. They'll call it magic because admitting the truth terrifies them. The truth is simple. They've been outclassed, outpaced, outthought. So you stay quiet. That silence isn't weakness. It's theater. It lets them wonder. It lets them fill the space with their own insecurity. They lose sleep asking how you always come out ahead, how you always seem untouchable. They fumble through emotions while you execute like a ghost following a blueprint. A ghost that isn't invisible but untouchable. Because the mind that sees the future doesn't pause for permission, doesn't waste time explaining, doesn't beg to be believed. It just moves. And when it moves, everything else bends to its will. They couldn't figure you out, so they tried to shrink you. They called you arrogant because you didn't beg. They called you difficult because you didn't fold. They threw labels like darts, hoping one would stick. Broken, lazy, too much, not enough. But the truth? You made them uncomfortable. Your very existence was rebellion. You were a disruption to their hierarchy. Proof that the system is fragile. That rules are optional when the mind is sovereign. They wanted you in a lane, in a role, in a box. But you burned every lane. You smashed every role. You set fire to every box they tried to cage you in. You are not this or that. You are not singular, not safe, not easy to define. You are everything they can't measure, everything they can't control, everything they can't name without trembling. You don't walk into rooms wearing masks or costumes anymore. You walk in bare, unfiltered, unhidden, just presence. And that presence alone bends the air, shifts the atmosphere, cracks the confidence of everyone who thought they had the advantage. You don't need to demand attention. You are attention. You don't ask for respect, you embody it. And when they finally feel the weight of you in the room, they understand too late. You don't exist to fit. You exist to change. And then there is presence. The kind of presence that requires no introduction, no explanation, no justification. The kind of presence that terrifies the average because it cannot be measured, packaged, or explained away. Most people live their lives desperately trying to be seen. You, however, terrify them precisely because you do not. You don't kneel because you've already seen through the illusion of power. You know the game is rigged, the stage is hollow, and the actors are desperate to keep the audience believing. Their status games, their fake smiles, their hollow titles, all of it collapses under the weight of someone who refuses to kneel. You don't need to swing a weapon to topple their empire. You dismantle it by refusing to worship it. And that refusal, silent, unshaken, is the deepest wound you can deliver. Because here is the truth. You were never built to be understood by the masses. The crowd survives on simplicity, on boxes, on categories. But you defy all of that. You weren't built to soothe them, to make them comfortable. You weren't built to nod along, to smile politely, to conform. You were built to conquer illusions, to fracture the structures they built out of fear. Your silence is not absence, it is strategy. Your confidence is not arrogance, it is prophecy. And prophecy doesn't explain itself. It simply arrives, undeniable, and rewrites reality. They can't label you because you do not belong to their story. You don't play a supporting role in their narrative. You are the author tearing out pages and writing a new ending. So stand tall, even when the ground tilts, even when the whispers rise around you. Because whispers are the sound of fear, and fear is the only language weak minds know how to speak when they encounter something greater than themselves. Let them whisper. Let them speculate. Let them tremble. You are not here to fit into their mold. You are here to destroy the mold itself and remind them that nothing they built was permanent. They mocked you once, called your thoughts noise, dismissed your visions as delusion. But what was dismissed in one era becomes scripture in the next. The very ideas they laughed at now echo through boardrooms, classrooms, and corridors of power. Their strategies are nothing but mirrors of your madness. Their breakthroughs are just shadows of the structures you already designed in silence. They didn't just laugh at you, they archived you, documented your prophecy, unaware that every dismissal was a record of genius they couldn't comprehend at the time. You don't operate on a higher frequency. You are the frequency. You are the pulse behind revolutions, the hum before disruption, the thunder before a storm that cannot be outrun. You spoke in riddles once, words they couldn't decode. Now those riddles are taught as formulas, parroted as doctrine. What they once called chaos, they now call innovation. What they once called impossible, they now market as inevitable. You transformed madness into blueprint, turned shadows into monuments, and carved new laws into the fabric of reality while they begged for permission just to move. And the irony? You never did it for applause. There were no trophies waiting, no ovations, no medals, no awards. Just endless nights where the world slept while your mind stayed awake. Cold nights, bloodshot eyes, and silent wars fought in the battlefield of your skull. You waged war with ideas when no one was watching. You constructed empires in silence, dissected futures while others drowned in distractions. They waited for permission. You forged revolutions in the dark. That is where brilliance lives, in the unseen, in the spaces no one claps for, in the undetected hours when the world is silent and your mind is alive. History isn't rewritten under bright lights, it's rewritten in shadows, drafted by the ones too restless to sleep and too defiant to wait. And you are that restless defiance. You are that living prophecy. You are the hum that grows louder until it becomes a roar, the presence that cannot be explained away, the fracture line that splits their world open. So let them tremble. Let them talk. Let them cling to their fragile hierarchy. Because they know what you already know. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to fracture, to dismantle, to force evolution. And when they finally look back, when they finally realize what you were, it will be too late. The revolution will already carry your fingerprints. The blueprint will already bear your name. And the world will already be standing inside the structure you designed in silence. You never needed their spotlight. The spotlight was always a trick, a glare designed to blind, to distract, to make people forget that light without substance is nothing but a stage illusion. You didn't need their claps, their applause, or their fragile affirmations. You needed results, and now the irony burns in their eyes. Their entire reality bends around your blueprints. The world they thought they built runs on foundations you laid in silence. Their strategies are replicas of your discarded sketches. Their breakthroughs are nothing but footprints trailing your shadow. Einstein's ghost isn't watching you out of curiosity. He's taking notes. Because you have become the anomaly even legends would bow to. Not because you were smarter in the way they measure intelligence, not because you fit their metrics or ticked their boxes, but because you refused to play their game at all. They studied rules, you broke them, they mastered boxes, you lit them on fire and built a throne from the ashes. And here's the part that terrifies them most. They will never catch up. Because you never thought like them. You never moved like them, you never were them, and that's not madness, that's legacy. You never learned in their classrooms, bound by chalkboard boundaries and lifeless facts. You absorbed from chaos. You studied conflict. You took notes from betrayal, every backstab, every breakdown. While they needed structure and certainty, you adapted to flames and forged your mind in disasters. Your education was war, fast, savage, unforgiving. You didn't just survive the fire, you memorized every scream inside it, turned each one into a formula, a lesson, a code etched into your bones. You walk now with knowledge carved into scars. They call it instinct, but instinct this sharp isn't born. It's earned. You learn to read the world like a map unraveling itself. You read people like topography, seeing their peaks of pride and valleys of insecurity. You read lies the way others read headlines, predictable, patterned, and shallow. You read silence like code, translating pauses into truth. You don't ask for second chances. You don't need retries. All you need is data, and you gather it while others sleep on comfort. That's why you're dangerous, because you are the storm that adapts mid-strike, the beast that studies even as it tears through. You don't just react. You evolve live. With every failure, you mutate. With every blow, you upgrade. That's why they can't stop you. By the time they respond, you've already become something new. They can't kill you because you never stay still long enough to be cornered. You never waited to fit in. That's why their parties felt empty, their boardroom suffocating, their conversations tired. Your brain rebelled every time they asked you to play it safe, because you were never designed to belong. You were designed to infiltrate, to infect their infrastructure and bring it to its knees. When you walk into spaces, the atmosphere shifts, not because you're loud, not because you demand attention, but because your silence has intent. Your presence bends the air before you speak. You don't adjust to the room adjusts to you, they feel it. That shift in energy, that quiet dread when someone too sharp, too calm, too calculated enters their little kingdom. So they panic. They call you egotistical. They brand you dangerous. They whisper you're unhinged, but let them. The lion has never been concerned with the sheep's dictionary. You didn't come to blend in. You came to break their cycle, to remind them that their systems are fragile, their hierarchies are illusions, and their rules only work on those too scared to challenge them. And you won't stop, not until the same system that rejected you now requires you to function. Until the infrastructure you fractured depends on your design to survive. That's what it means to win, not just to exist in their world, but to force their world to revolve around you. You were never built to be explained. You were built to be experienced. Not everyone will get you. Not everyone should. Because you are not a puzzle to be solved. You are the contradiction that tears logic into pieces. Too quiet to dismiss. Too loud to ignore. Too twisted to control. Just dangerous enough to change everything. And the truth is, you didn't become this by chasing clarity. You didn't follow some linear path of improvement. You embraced the chaos. You danced with the unknown. You let the darkness teach you its secrets. Your growth wasn't smooth, it was violent, erratic, beautifully disobedient. Every fall taught you to fly in a different way. Every failure rewired your DNA. You didn't polish yourself into something acceptable. You shattered yourself into something inevitable. Now you exist outside of reason, beyond explanation. You are a living paradox, a storm wrapped in silence, a nightmare disguised as discipline, a prophecy breathing in human form. And that's why they fear you. Because you are not here to be liked. You are not here to be safe. You are not here to fit. You are here to be remembered. That's all for today. Dear Father, I pray for the growth of my faith. Help me trust you even when physical evidence is lacking. Let me believe in your perpetual presence, knowing you will never harm me. I understand that your thoughts for me are thoughts of prosperity and not harm to give me a good future. Thank you, gracious and eternal Father, for always listening to my voice. I offer up this prayer to you in the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for your love and provision. I am grateful for your presence in my life and the abundance you bring. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with those who need to hear this message. Leave a comment below about your journey and how you are preparing for your own triumphant return. If you'd like to support our work, please consider contributing through Buy Me a Coffee. This helps us continually improve our content to offer you the best. The link to Buy Me a Coffee is in the description. No gift is too small. Whether it's a penny, a prayer, or a share, your generosity helps spread God's word and brings hope to others. Don't stop here. Watch our next video for powerful revelations about the signs that reveal you are the chosen one. We've enjoyed following this spiritual journey with you. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Keep shining brightly and embrace your destiny with courage. See you next time. Blessings to all the beautiful souls from the Enlighten wisdom.